All right. How are we going to do this intro? Here, Chase, you do it.
Hello. This is the Threshold Podcast episode Trace. I am Chase,
I'm Noah.
And I'm Kale.
and today we will be talking about several different topics.
And
I'd
none
say
of which we fully understand.
I
Yeah.
think we all know more on different subjects that we've brought up than others.
And that's what creates a good dynamic, though, is having, there's three of us here, and all of us have different specialties in terms of our
definitely.
knowledge.
Yeah.
And because of that, hopefully, what we intend is for the listener to put themselves in the shoes of whoever they know as much as.
Probably won't be me. I can probably promise you that. But I'd say going off of the list, I mean, you two were kind of talking about something that I don't really know a lot about, so you probably have to explain it to me and probably some of the listeners. But psychosis.
Oh, yeah. Not necessarily in the medical sense, but psychosis in the way that it manifests in the world around you.
Okay. And
It's-
what
Go
do
ahead.
you mean by that?
Kale, do you want to explain
Ignorance. It's I want to say at its core, it's a type of ignorance that people never really get past. It's kind of like growing up, but like your body keeps growing, but your mind stays with a single idea and it never actually reaches out to be more open-minded. You just remain in that blissfully ignorant place, or you it really varies. I want to say I'm not too
Yeah. It's
in depth on the topic or on the definition itself.
if someone has some kind of traumatic experience or belief that's ingrained in their head through indoctrination, they're gonna fully believe that. They'll see that as the truth.
And like
And
the reality.
And it's ingrained into their head even when it isn't the truth.
And that's
So-
what a lot of people just aren't, just really, they never really even think about it. And I mean, that's how the world today is just built. I mean, we have technology that has exceeded our expectations, and we keep getting surprised, and we just usually end up somewhere that we probably never wanted to be to begin with. But I mean, we just don't realize it.
Do you
Right.
think that something like that is capable of changing? Like the first thing I thought of when y'all were talking about that was PTSD.
Perfect example.
Post-traumatic stress
So
disorder.
it's something that's ingrained in your head.
Yeah, and I feel like PTSD is one of those things that, from the outside perspective, looks like it could be easily cured. You know, like from other people's perspectives, they're like, "Oh, just don't think about it." You know, just
Well,
do
it
something to
really,
occupy your mind. But then they're
Yeah,
they
it's
struggle
haunting
with
their
that.
entire psyche.
Yeah.
It's something that they can't
Oh,
look away
yeah.
from. And
So
in terms of psychosis in general, Carl Jung would call these psychoses that we're talking about right now neuroses, which comes to his term that he created, neurotic, which is used to describe a lot of people, where they have these thoughts that are on the outside looking in from someone else's perspective. They'll seem weird. We're like, why do you think that? Why are you acting that way? But to them, it's just part of who they are.
they can't
I
change
think that these can be heavily influenced. Some people aren't going to like this.
I'm sensing a weird paradox here
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, in that case, like in America today, specifically America with our popular culture, that's just increasingly, I want to say, getting worse. It's I feel like it induces a type of anxiety, but at the same time, it's a social anxiety. But you want yourself to be out there, but at the same time, you're scared to get out there, and it's a weird paradox forming there.
Can you give me an example?
I understand what you're saying. I
Yeah,
I couldn't give an example if I tried, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
yeah, it's weird to word, I want to say, but it's
I'm just trying to follow.
I see it as a weird paradox because we live in a world where everything is being dominated by who has the most followers on or whatever app you want to use, and we're
Right.
being constantly bombarded by ads of how we should live, and it's basic indoctrination at its core after that point
Yeah,
when you're growing
absolutely.
up with it. But I see this weird paradox forming. It's people get anxious when they're alone, especially what we've felt and experienced in seeing these past couple of years with the coronavirus pandemic. And it's
Oh,
just,
yes.
I feel like it's increasingly getting worse because we got left alone when we were never alone before that. But with social media and
Right.
everything on the rise, it creates that weird paradox. People have that anxiety before anyway, but it only increasingly gets worse. It's a problem that we did not foresee, and it affected us in a way that it just at its core originally should not have affected us.
That's very profound.
But
You can see people are starting to meld to their phones in the sense that they're starting to put on the personality that they want to show on social media. They're trying to live in the world that they're advertised on social media. They get the shit that they see on advertisements and social media. It's our entire reality is becoming wrapped around something that isn't real. It isn't tangible in reality. And because of that, like
exactly,
our whole thought process and the way we feel emotions is being wired to that which isn't who we really are.
A
Because of that,
worldwide indoctrination.
yeah, it's
I wouldn't say
terrifying.
worldwide. It's more, I want to say, pinpointed in the United because countries they have more laws protecting the I want to say consumer and stuff, but they're more. I feel like other countries and other people out there are more educated on the possibilities of what the internet itself can actually do. Because
Yeah.
ever since the internet has actually like risen in America, it's been increasingly privatized, and you know, you just you don't realize the full extent of its capabilities and like what is happening.
I don't know if you guys ever see like billionaires testifying to Congress, but it is the most ridiculous thing because they'll go up there and with every question they ask, they're like, "Sorry, sir, I just don't have the numbers for that." They don't answer shit, and they just get away with it. Our system is so rigged in favor of the people who are in control of these corporations that like the average consumer is just bound to be a victim of whatever the company wants.
I
Yeah.
I want to say I'm a little weird in that specific area because I don't align with either side. I mean, as much as I am into politics and government structures and how they work, I
Hmm.
don't like parties. They just don't do
Oh
anything for
yeah,
me. They choose
yeah.
one side from the other. But that's the
Because
weird thing for when
you know when
uh,
the thing I don't like about political parties is that right now you're only allowed to be on one side of a single fence. You're either a Republican or a Democrat. Two parties
see
which
that's
actually agree on more things than they disagree on and just vilify each other so that you have to pick one side. It's a rigged system fundamentally.
it is, and I was actually about to just start talking about that because on the list of topics, there's the political compass, and they
Mhm.
actually did a political compass of both parties, and they're pretty majoritarily all pretty much in the same area aligned up. The
Yeah.
furthest left that the map goes is Bernie Sanders, and it's maybe like two squares to the left, not very far.
Right, right. America's left is still right, which
No, it's
is
not even that. It's the left is so small. There hardly is any left because we have it. People have it ingrained in their minds because you hear a lot out there that like the left are Nazis and stuff like that. That's not the case. Left and right are people get those things like confused with each other because when they think of communism, they think of authoritarianism because
right.
of the Soviet Union.
I think
That is not true communism at its core. It was just laced with authoritarianism for the, you know,
yeah, for the sake of what they
a way
thought
of
would
getting
make it
power.
work.
Exactly, but it was never true communism at its core. It was just another way of controlling a population, abusing a system, which can very easily happen with capitalism.
So, with the tendency for governments to become corrupt, do you think that that's in human nature, or it's in the nature of corrupt people to take power?
It's most definitely just in the nature of corrupt people to
Both.
take power because, yeah, I want to say both, but I mean, well, I
100%
don't
both.
want to say both because, I mean, the system was originally not made for it to happen, but
Right.
it's something that occurs over time and bit by bit. It happens in the freest of countries out there. I mean, it I don't in my mind I feel like it happens to any country, but that's because evil people will do anything possible to get to that position of power. They have no morals.
It's
That's where
Right.
majorly
good people
human
do.
nature.
Yeah, I can see where human nature comes into it. Because when you're in a situation where you have influence over people, they look to you for your opinions. That changes, the way you think. Because now you're the
Yeah.
guy. Your ideas are important. So you have this grandiose vision of yourself now that emanates through your thought processes and your actions now.
That's why a lot of people believe that true communism will never work. Because people are greedy and people strive for power. And once they get that lick of power, they just strive for more.
Right. Communism could
See, that's
work, but not for humans.
Not for humans, no.
well, there
Not
have
at
been
all.
cases where communism, but
There have
uh,
been cases where it's
like
been
like
close, but it never
like
has in the
well,
end.
it's been in like earlier history, like the Aztecs and stuff like that. They have had or the
Yeah.
Mayans. They've had systems that efficiently worked even on large populations. But
Mhm.
it's the thing with that is usually there's another leading benefactor for it being stable as it was, whether it be spirituality, religion.
Right. But living in
Kind
such
of
like
apply because they had a reason to do that or something to look past that. They saw a bigger picture, I would say, and that was more widespread than what it is nowadays. We only see the next 24 hours. We don't see the next 100 years.
yeah. Uh there's a bunch of factors that make it to where we can't have what the Aztecs had.
A
Like
big
our
factor is
population has increased exponentially, as well as our population
oh,
density
definitely.
and the globalization of knowledge. Everything has
It,
sped up and become such a dense and vast net that we can't have a system that works on a basic level anymore.
oh, definitely. But I mean, I feel like there could be a system that does work in an efficient and reliable way, but it just cannot be touched by human consciousness because I mean it obviously has to be made by one, but it can't be touched by another or else that's when it'll become corrupted.
And that was the
But
idea behind the Constitution. That found its way to be
but
corrupted.
I mean here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's so many people that are so unwilling to accept the fact that the Constitution's corrupted because of their patriotism towards it, and they're like, "Oh, it's the first
Yeah.
perfect piece of fucking document in the fucking world. It made this
I
Yeah.
mean
country, yeah, yeah,
patriotism
bitch."
I mean I don't even see patriotism as patriotism anymore. Patriotism is like I want to say a healthy nationalist spirit. Nationalism
Right.
is it just goes further and further down the rabbit hole up until it gets to fascism.
There's
Right.
a such thing as patriotism, but I mean, you
That's
take it
not
up
what
a
we're
few
seeing today.
levels. Yeah, you take it up a few levels, and dude, you're just as bad as the people that you're claiming aren't as great as you.
Exactly. You see,
Like, I
I
mean,
think patriotism is on a basic level, it's having an identity. Like, okay, this is the team that I'm part of, you know?
Yeah.
But
yeah,
and that goes down to, we were humans fighting animals, and then we were in a tribe, our tribe fought other tribes, and now here we are now. That part of
Competition.
our nature is just coming out in that way. Some people take it far to the extreme where they hate the other tribe They despise them, and their tribe is superior.
Just because they weren't born in the other tribe.
Right.
Not that they did anything wrong.
Because logic entirely pervades it. It's just an emotional thing.
Yeah.
It's part of our nature. It's like being an
See,
ape.
that's what I kind of mentioned earlier.
Mhm.
When I was saying that whenever you're trying to convince somebody otherwise, or you're trying to, I don't know, I don't want to say brainwash. That's a really broad term right there, and it sounds kind of ridiculous when it's being applied to this. But I mean, it's still, it could still be used. But
Yeah, it's still
um, I
applicable.
mean, yeah, I mean, that's how they do it. Is they appeal to the emotional side of man, bypassing his rational side. That's what Hitler did. He
Right.
appealed to the deeper emotional subconscious and not the rationality of it. And that's what's
Yeah.
happening nowadays in America, is what happened back then in Germany during those days. There was an enemy that the people hated, which hate is an emotion by itself, bypassing the rationality of it, just indoctrinated an entire nation, which is what's happening today, as the Jews were then, as immigrants today are to us.
So do you
It's
think
something
that
to
it's going to
fear and
escalate to
something.
that level this time?
I mean,
No.
look at what's happening with Trump. I mean, people say, "Oh, it can never happen here," but that's exactly what they said back in Germany. It could never
Yeah.
happen here, but it did.
Yeah.
I don't think
And
it'll happen in
So
our lifetime.
I saw I don't follow the news, but I saw Trump gave this whole speech where he's pretty much saying he's going to come back in 2024, take back the throne.
That's what
Uh
he said?
yeah. No,
Dude,
not take back the throne. No, 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 no. No.
God.
No. But that was his idea, is that he's
Fucking
going to
Jon
come
Snow
and
head ass.
he's like, I'm going to beat them a third time, because he's still spreading the whole thing that
That
the
he won.
Democrats stole the election. Yeah.
yeah.
Which
Well, I mean, even then, it's hard to even get anything as far as statistics wise, just any like reliable information out of that, with how just unreliable the system is to begin with, especially with things in place such as gerrymandering. I mean, our votes
right.
hardly even count any more than what they should be.
Exactly.
And
I
it's just,
genuinely think it'll definitely reflect off of how Biden does during his 4 years, because people voted for Trump originally because they just wanted something different. They wanted uh, something that they thought would maybe change a few things that they wanted to change, but it turns out changed a lot more. And I feel like if Biden really, really, really fucks up, I think people would result to voting for Trump again. But
That's scary.
yeah.
I don't think
I
that Biden's
mean,
going to be our president when Trump runs again. I think Biden's going to die in a couple years.
Oh, 100%. Dude,
yeah, he ain't got
Kamala
that
will
much
make
longer.
it. Kamala's already the president, dude.
Yeah, yeah,
She's just
that's what I
toying
was
with
about to
Biden.
say.
But
I mean,
I mean,
we haven't seen anything bad from President Harris yet.
from my point of view, I just genuinely do not like either side. That's
Yeah,
just the way I am. I mean, I know how they both work, and I mean, we never actually get anything different. We're still in the same war we were 20 years ago. We're still spending almost, like, after the taxes and after all the extra fees and everything, almost over $1 trillion on our military budget. They could
right.
just be put to so much better things. I mean, yes, I agree we need to defend the nation, but I don't. We shouldn't be policing the world.
Yeah,
I mean, our geographic area, we're just so well defended by it is. I mean, we have weak neighbors to the north and the south, and fifth and fish to the east and to the west. I mean, as far as the missiles and everything go, I mean, that's all we really have to worry about. But as far as like land invasions, I mean, that's borderline impossible.
That's all America's
right.
really ever been in its history, was just a police nation.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean, think of Teddy Roosevelt,
not
dude. That man
necessarily.
was a
right.
fucking sheriff.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Oh, do you just
I
land
mean, we
ships
all
in
read.
South America?
no, 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 no.
Well, I mean, it all kind of. I want to say with the age of American imperialism, when we started reaching out, that's when it really kind of hit. I mean, and even after that, around the 1900s, we were still being an isolationist country until we were brought into World War One.
No,
Right.
that's how America's always been though. Oh, we're gonna sit back, let it
Yeah.
happen, watch, and then we're gonna slide on in, blame it on something. We're gonna slide on in and take that fucking glory, bitch, and that's why
The,
America's the greatest.
that's what's funny about America is that it's been in this identity crisis for most of its existence before World War II, or I guess it's before World War One, where
But
nobody could agree on if they wanted to be an imperialist or isolationist. America didn't know what it was supposed to be
Yeah. And
because
then
in terms of everything, we're a new country. We don't know what role we play,
we're
and
very new.
yeah, we're only
Very.
like 4 people old.
Yeah, 4 generations. That's nuts.
and I mean, even
Think of how
now,
old India is,
Yeah,
which is old.
orders of magnitude older than America.
Well, old in the sense of like the American Revolution.
Yeah, yeah, because Native Americans don't run our country.
Yeah, and it's kind of I don't know if there's a lot of history about Native Americans before uh
I don't think they
the good old white
necessarily
folk
had
came
any
in. Yeah, I don't think they really recorded much. I think that's why they don't really teach it. Like
Yeah, yeah,
most of America's history is the Vikings at first, and then a few uh, like 1,000 years later, Christopher Columbus fucking landed in the Bahamas, and then out of nowhere, this whole deal came about, and all we know about the Native Americans is that they were fucking slaughtered
yep. But
and that they were
they did
tried.
some incredible things. Like some of their works of architecture were insane. Like the Serpent Mound. Have you seen that?
I have not.
It's this enormous hill that's the shape of a snake with its mouth open.
Really? Where
Yeah.
was that at?
I don't know.
It's still there?
Yeah.
That's crazy. No, I've never heard of that.
I
That's
think
pretty
I've heard of
fucking
it
neat.
before, but I did know that they did a lot with the like mounds and stuff.
Seeing old architecture blows my mind. Like
And even then, we're still like finding out more and more
more, yeah,
about
yeah, yeah. More and
ancient
more and more.
architecture.
Can you imagine what the world would be like right now if Roman architecture uh
Was industrialized.
yeah, it was still relevant after Rome had fallen? Because after Rome had fallen, everyone just forgot how the Romans made anything, and they just practically started from scratch in their little thatch huts and mud. And every time they walked by any Roman areas, they were like, well, how the fuck did they do that? For hundreds of years until they finally figured it out again. But if they'd have not wasted those hundreds of years questioning on how to do it,
Well,
I
I
feel like
wouldn't
we
really
would.
say it's. Go ahead.
What?
I was gonna say I don't really think it's as far as they were questioning it, but by the time Rome fell, that was around the time Christianity was on the rise, uh, and I think it had a lot to do with the stagnation of mind and seeing technology like that as fucking the devil's work. And
Yeah.
Well, that
Yeah,
was
and that
mostly
the
England.
fall of Rome plunged England, not England, Europe into a very long dark age. Took
Yeah.
over 1,000 years to get
yeah,
out of.
And that's what I'm saying, that people forgot about Roman architecture because they had so much other shit to worry about. And once they
Yeah.
finally figured out how to solve their problems, they looked at Roman architecture and were like, oh, how do you do that again?
Yeah. Yeah. And that the same goes with philosophy, art, all
Yeah.
that.
And that's why the Renaissance is so fucking cool, dude.
Yeah, it's like it's a rebirth of humanity.
Yeah.
It's a
I think the
beautiful
Renaissance
thing.
is the coolest thing in history.
Yeah.
but I mean that's just I don't remember if it was Rome or Greece, but it was one of the ancient nations. But they very well had the knowledge to make like computers that we had now, and
Rome.
it's I don't know. It was always crazy to think about to myself.
That's insane.
That's what I'm saying, dude. If they'd have not forgotten their stuff, and kept going on with their architecture and stuff, we would be so fucking advanced right now.
You know what a big theory
Hundreds
behind
of
it is, though?
years. Huh.
So Rome was in a 200-year period of peace. And because of that, the people whose parents never fought had kids, and those kids had kids, and those kids had kids. And you had a society full of people who never knew problems. And because of
Oh.
because of that, it created a huge power vacuum where these people had no idea what they were doing. They just lived sheltered and privileged lives, and that's all their great grandparents knew.
You think that goes on with that whole theory of like only people above a certain IQ and people with this amount of athletics should be able to uh
Oh, eugenics?
reproduce? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
eugenics. Because
Uh,
you had those people that never had any problems, they reproduced, they got used to living a life with no problems, so society as a whole fell
oh yeah,
down.
yeah,
What if it was in reverse?
that's a very, very good point. Society kind of
There's a
regressed.
What?
there's a quote that I can put to that too. It's
Mhm.
weak men make
Hard times.
yeah, weak men make hard times and strong men make good times, and
Yeah,
vice versa.
yeah. Strong men make
And
easy
it's
times, and those easy times make weak men. Those weak men make hard
yeah,
times. The hard times make strong men.
Oh, so it's like a
yep.
paradox.
Yeah, it's a never-ending loop.
So do you
I
think our technology that we have right now might eventually get forgotten just because of how lazy this society has become?
I don't know. I don't know.
I I think I don't know how it really depends. The population is so large, and there are
Yeah, it might
many
take a
other
lot
cultures out
longer.
there.
Because I don't think people are going to forget World War II. And that
Well,
was,
I mean,
I definitely think
they're not
something like
gonna
that could
forget
repeat
it.
though.
It I think it's already repeating today. To be honest,
you think so?
No, I mean to an extremist level.
I mean, it's getting to an extremist level. I mean, you're already seeing attacks on immigrants, other cultures, and stuff like that. I mean, I don't have a problem
That
with
that
immigrants,
that's
like as
that's
long as they're legal.
that's the history of the
But
world though. People have always, I mean, the only thing that made Hitler stand out was that he actually like severely acted upon it. But
Yeah.
I
true,
think the
but
the history of the world is people just attacking immigrants and just I mean, like yeah, we're
It
doing it today, but we've been doing it for thousands of years.
right. Yeah. And it
that's
goes back to
true.
that
But
tribalism thing. It's just they aren't part of the tribe.
Yeah. And I think Hitler's got a lot on that stash, so he's
I mean,
quite famous.
the tactic that he used there, which I see the tactic being used now. I mean, Fox News when it started airing 24/7, that's basically just giving you the ideas or indoctrinating you. I mean, and you don't even know it because after you start watching it, you're like, it's like anything can be justified, and the more it gets justified over long periods of time, and that's
Oh
all you
yeah.
hear,
It's horrible,
it
dude,
just gets
because
worse and worse.
people are watching that and they're like, "Holy shit, this is what's happening in the world." Because Fox News is of course twisting it to show what they want people to see. And so now people are watching this
Exactly.
being actively brainwashed and they see problems
That's
in the world.
exactly what
They
Hitler did.
They all are.
yeah.
My fucking my parents, my
Mhm.
mom specifically watches Fox News because she thinks it's better than CNN because Fox News is more right than CNN.
Pretty sure they're owned by the same companies. There are
Yeah,
5
yeah,
major
yeah, yeah,
companies that
yeah.
own pretty much the
Yeah.
entirety of
And
news.
she says she's like CNN is wrong. Fox News is, they know what they're talking about. And dude, I just look at her. I'm like, wow, that
There's a video that I'm gonna have to find and show you guys. It's pretty much the exact same script used by uh
I've seen
different
it.
broadcasting companies at different times. Oh,
Yeah,
you saw it?
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah. This is a dangerous threat to our nation. And
yeah.
all of them are saying that about fucking different things because they know the buzzwords to get to people's emotions. Like you
That's what
said,
they feed
Kale,
off
Exactly.
to
of.
bypass their logic.
And I don't know, it's just kinda sad, and I don't really think it's anything that can be irreversible either. Like, you have to let it run its course until, like, a large enough group of people can see what's happening. Because I mean, even through all these different scenarios where the weak over the weak-minded are it's always the strong-minded that get just slaughtered because I mean, um, that's how people take power. You can't have that knowledge lingering. That's why Hitler burned all the books, and you read the books about dystopian stuff where all the books are illegal, and it's
Right.
just all the knowledge is restricted, so you never gain that understanding back,
Yeah.
and it's just
The
erased.
I'd say that that's the step where society takes a plunge to become a dystopia, where they suppress knowledge like what we're talking about right now. They don't want people thinking this way because they're using logic instead of conforming to the emotional narrative.
Now, see, I think it's another weird paradox of what's happening today, because the exact same thing is happening where people are easily becoming blissfully ignorant, but because it's not that they don't have the access to the knowledge, it's because they don't want the knowledge. You can't, like, you can give a horse water, but you can't make it drink it.
Yeah. It's definitely different today because yeah, for sure back then, like you call it out on the like the Catholic Church way back when and Hitler and people that have taken those power, they just get rid of the knowledge. Those people never have the chance to learn it. This society definitely has the chance to learn it, but they
Absolutely.
just
Want to.
grow up. Whoa. They have the technology and the choice to learn. I can look up whatever I want right in front of me. I have a computer, I have a phone. Anything I want to know, it's in my hand. But
Mhm.
people would rather go on some media or just listen to some bullshit that somebody will tell them in person and not even think to check them on it. They'll
Right.
instantly believe them.
Yeah, because it
Yeah,
conforms to what they believe. They're like, oh, yeah, I like that.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go tell other people that, and then they
Yeah,
do, and those other people believe them, and people just believe this bullcrap that's spread, and then nobody even thinks to just look it up. I mean, it may you can be like, oh, you can't believe everything you find on the internet. Read a book.
yeah, yeah. There are facts you
people
can
just
find
don't
on
want
the
to go
internet.
out of their way
You
to
can
seek
find
out
them
the
easily.
knowledge.
Yeah,
People are so overstimulated and happy with the lives that they're living that, like, I mean, like, when you're so much and it gets to the point where you become lazy, like, why would you want to go out and look for those things? It's weird because it makes you
Yeah,
lazy and you're happy at the same time, and you're so overstimulated you have just as much anxiety along with it, and you don't know where
that's
it's coming from.
incredible. You find this anxious complacency.
Exactly.
That's
And it's
awesome.
like,
people are
and I
so
don't know, you
content with what
just,
they know.
Yeah.
They just stick to what's
and
comfortable. They don't think of
and
Hmm.
I feel like
branching
that
out.
it's just they're so closed minded they don't want to branch out. I mean, and I don't really argue with that either because I mean, why would they? I mean, sometimes I wish I was blissfully ignorant with my life. Still
Yeah,
Yeah.
happy,
but if you think about it,
but
like
I
if
mean, it
everyone
just,
branched out, think of how much faster we would progress. Not only in technological advancements, but like ethnical advancements, moral advancements. People,
well, I mean, morality is a weird one because I mean, you can have one person that still believes one thing and another person that still believes another, but you still have
that's what
that
I'm
open
saying.
mindedness.
You wouldn't really put beliefs in front of it. You would put logic in front of it. If people branched out, eventually everyone would come to the same conclusion on
Oh
different
yeah.
Maybe
different
Yeah.
things.
I,
You
I
wouldn't
think
that's a really
people
weird
would
one. I
people
just,
would be more willing to work with each other,
yeah.
and they would have ideas that are at the very least reconcilable.
Yeah.
if if everybody had the same goal to progress humanity to the point of just absolute wonder, like I think it's sad when I think about it all the time when I'm seeing all these different technologies being made and like the ones in the past that could have been but just never were, and then just all these different things, and I put it all the pieces together, and I just pieced together a lot of just history and things that have even occurred in the past few years. And it's just I piece those things together, and I'm like why did we let this happen? But
Right.
Yeah.
like there's always somebody that's going to want to take power and just get their way to what they want, and what they want is not always what everybody else wants. They want
Yeah.
to satisfy the rest of their lives. They don't want to satisfy the rest of the human race
Well,
and
those are
how
the
long
people
it'll
that are
prosper.
branching out in the wrong direction. There,
Yes,
there,
that's
there,
true.
there. There's the middle direction, which I think everyone should be going towards. You're branching out to help society as a whole to make everyone forget about the wrong things and just go to the better things.
So
The
Chase, I'm
bad
going to
things
play
will be
devil's
forgotten.
advocate right now.
Okay.
You're working under the assumption that your goal is to further humanity. But I'm a
If
hedonist. I just want to make myself happy. And I'm in a world full of people that they're just working towards the greater good. Well, shit, if I just work towards myself, I'll get to the top ASAP.
but that's what I'm saying. The branches, that's what I'm saying. There's the people that go out in a different direction.
Mhm.
There's like the middle direction, which is what I think, especially nowadays, the majority of society thinks as. Maybe not to the level that we're thinking of it as, but at some point in life, there, uh, people think, oh, if everyone was just happy, everyone would just calm down, we'd be fine. That's like the middle direction. That's where
Mhm.
people want just peace.
Yeah.
Then you have the left direction where uh obviously in order to have peace, there will more than likely be conflict in between. You have this left direction where people choose to not do anything about it and just let the conflict go as it is. And
And
those are
that's
those are the
what's
people that kind of just sit back and are like, well, not my problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you
I mean,
have
that's
the right wing, not wing, the like a writer branch.
Mhm.
I'm just thinking of it as a picture, but a different
yeah,
branch
Yeah, yeah,
where
yeah.
uh, people take advantage of said conflict or uh, like motion that's going on,
Mhm.
and they'll do something that's out of the line in a way and kind of get to that halting point to stop that progression and put themselves above it and then kind of change that direction. And I think that's how a lot of dictatorships have started.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
because everyone would be going
It
towards
only
that
takes
middle branch.
in a world full of ambivalence, it only takes one self-centered person.
Yep.
it really does. And another thing is like even going off to that left branch you were talking about and wanting to better society and everybody can have different and even distorted ideas of what bettering society could be, which could lead to like just as many problems as like what started to begin with. That
Well,
could
I
easily
also
branch
think
off to
that
the right side.
that's what I was saying, that belief shouldn't play any part into it. If everyone just thought about it
Uh,
logically, you would all it might take a very long time. Don't get me
Well,
wrong, there
if
are
you
going to
think
be
about it
people that
logically,
argue against it.
if you think
Uh
about it logically, you come up with a hypothesis. And
It's not
if
really
you
that.
if
Even when
you
you are
find
thinking
any
about it
certainty in it,
logically.
it becomes a belief.
yeah,
I think beliefs are the natural tendency for humanity.
I
Well, I'm not necessarily like classifying it as like a belief or like any kind of spiritual belief or anything, but it's like like people will obviously think about it logically at that time, but there will always be people that think they're right anyway. That yes, they may be
Yeah.
open-minded, but they just can't see how the other side works, and it can work vice versa. And
I think people need
like
to
you can
choose.
think you're bettering humanity,
Yeah,
but
I think
like
people need to look at it more like a goal than a belief.
and
Okay.
even when it's a goal, the problem's still there. It's
Yeah, but the
like
goal, like a goal is set. A belief can be super wide. It can be super broad. It can be
true.
taken wrongly. It can be mixed up and uh spread into people's minds differently. Like kind of like the game Telephone in a way.
Yeah.
It goes down and down and down and down. Eventually, it just goes to fucking utter bullshit.
You see, there's a different but almost equal fear when it comes to having a goal, which is you'll have the end justifies the means person, where they'll do horrible things in the name of reaching that goal.
Oh yeah,
In some cases, I want to say, like especially in today's world, that
Illidan.
it's
That's his
like
name.
it's just in like it's just like you just got to do it. I mean, to make change things that you're not proud of, because I mean, how else are you going to achieve goals like that? Now, some of those goals may be self-centered, and other goals may be towards bettering humanity. But I mean, either way it goes, you have to do these horrible things because morality will get you nowhere in that specific situation. Because I mean,
You
Yeah.
there are
believe that
people
it's better to
blocking
be feared than loved, in a sense.
it. It's
You
really
take you
really
take
depends on
advantage.
you, I
You
would
would take.
say.
You think that the people to the whatever Noah said to reach the end. Uh, that phrase that you just said, I've heard it before.
Oh yeah, ends justify the means.
Yeah, ends justify the means. The basis of that would to be feared rather than loved. It would eliminate all morals. If you were feared, people would just succumb to what. Because if you take one person that goes by that and does anything in their power to reach that goal, eventually people are just gonna get out of their way and let them do it.
Right.
And then some people may even follow them.
Mm-hmm.
But I promise they're not going to do it out of morals. So you're right. Yeah, people, those people, especially the ones that take it to the extreme, they'll do it by fear.
Right.
Hmm. Which
There's
I
a,
mean,
there's a, I think,
but
what is that
stuff like
called?
that, stuff like that happens in the background. Like to
Yeah,
the average person, like you're not gonna let that get to the average person. I mean, think about it now. I mean, Trump, Biden, they're all appealing to people, getting past the emotional side of them. They're appealing to their emotions and not the logical sense of like what's actually going on. But like they can be just as they are on TV as just as frightful or feared as they are like in person to somebody who knows what's going on. So it's kind of a two-way thing, but I mean, to
yeah.
get anywhere on that, especially on the political spectrum, you have to do things like that. I mean, there's just no getting around it because I mean, it's already set in stone and concrete over the past 100 years on how politics have been played in this duopoly or this political duopoly structure that we've created.
Right. Yeah.
Like you have to
Yeah,
play by the
that's
rules to
sad.
get it. It really is sad, and I mean, a lot of the cases you just have to accept these things because I mean, it's just a part of life to accept something that you don't want to accept, but I mean, it's still a part of reality. It's still there.
And that's a sad theme when it comes to political ideas. Is that there are so many things that logically would be so much better for humanity, but because of the
Oh,
way that
definitely.
the world is, it just can't happen.
And it's not even like just the way that the world is. It's just the way that our world is. I mean,
Right, right.
politics by itself, I don't see as good or bad, but it's how we use it is whether or not it's good or bad.
Definitely.
And right now, we're using it, in my opinion, to the worst of our abilities. I mean, I just like I mean, they made the rules. They've been there. If they've been placed there bit by bit over time, and like to go in there and fix it now would be just borderline impossible, especially for
Yeah.
one person anyway. Because we're just
Hmm.
stuck on the idea of hyper individualism that one person can change everything. No, that's not how it works.
Yeah, yeah. It takes an entire planet. Uh,
Yeah.
I
Planet,
think
nation,
that.
populace.
So, do you think that anything disastrous is going to happen on the international scale?
Uh,
From what?
Just in general. Like, do you think that there's going to be a war, any coup d'etat, civil war?
maybe it's hard to say, but I mean, it could be in the next few years. It could be in the next 15. But my personal opinion is that it very well could happen in our lifetime. Because I mean, at this specific point in time, I mean, you have to take into account the technology that we have and this entire new generation that's being brought in, and basically what I want to say, combating the older generation that's still in office, which has
Yeah.
been there beforehand. So that's two conflicting ideologies, and we can see it now. I
Another
mean,
major
like,
source of tension is COVID-19. We've spent the whole last year like living an entirely different way than we have our entire
yeah,
lives. And that's going to naturally create some tension,
oh,
which will
definitely.
manifest into the world around us.
Yeah, it really sucks. I barely remember what it's like to live before COVID, even though that was the majority of my life. I've grown so used to it. I
Yeah,
I
hate it,
mean,
and I hate how used to I've grown.
I
To it.
know. Like, think about the fact that every time we go into a fucking building, we have to put a mask over our face.
And it's nuts
yeah.
because I've been doing it for so long, but I still get out of my fucking car and forget my mask going into work or something.
Yeah. I,
I'm just
I I get more contemptuous of it every time. Like, why the fuck am I doing this?
Yeah, it
ju-
sucks.
I'm just glad that I don't have to wear a mask at work. I would have a heat stroke
Where
if
do
I
you
did that.
work?
I work construction,
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
but we do
I
like contract work and everything. We work on like roofs, decks, stuff like that,
That's
culverts.
cool. That's cool.
I have to wear a mask at my work.
I
It's
used
miserable.
to when I worked at this Mexican restaurant, but God forbid I'm never going back there.
Uh, Here's a good question, just kind of feeding off of what we were talking about earlier.
Uh-huh.
And I saw it, and I just kind of I don't even know, so I want to hear y'all's opinion. What should be the ultimate goal of humanity?
that it's really just a matter of opinion. There's no
I think
definite
that
answer for that.
I think that there's a collective answer and an individual answer.
Yeah,
I would like
I
to hear
think
both.
that
for
I think as the collective, be society should just
progress,
I think
progress, and
I
keep
I
progressing.
I, I just say maintain.
It's not
Of
die,
course, progress in the ways that we
not
need to.
not go
When we
extinct.
need new minimum wage, raise that. When we need a new law, change that. But when it comes to our overall lifestyles, I don't think that there should be much fluctuation. We just find something
Well,
that
I
lets
mean,
people live the most freely they can and the most sustainably.
Yeah,
I
that makes
agree and
sense.
disagree with that. I want to say because I mean we have to progress anyway, but I mean we're obviously going to progress in a slower rate. But with everything that we have nowadays, we're progressing so fast, it's ridiculous. But
What do we have
I,
to progress towards?
Yeah, like
we just need to
Like
progress,
when
in
you
my
say
opinion,
progress,
towards
what are we progressing towards? Like
a
obviously if we
just
had nothing to progress and we just stopped progression, we would be fine. Like
well, that's
it
just
would just
stagnation after that
maintain.
point.
Yeah, it would just maintain. Humanity would just go on and on and on and on and on until eventually just the fucking end of the universe. But
But
if
is
we
that
were to
like
progress to answer like the little questions that people have, like what's on Mars, what's out there, all those, what would we progress towards?
it really depends. I mean, we could stay here on the planet, but I mean, we all know that's impossible with
I think
how
there's
fast the population is increasing, and
yeah,
I do
yeah.
yeah.
think we need to like
There's
expand.
definitely factors that are causing progression to be more forced. Like
Exactly, and that's a really key thing with progression too. Progression is reflecting off a problem that needs to be solved for the betterment of not necessarily the quality of life, but for the quality of humanity.
Yeah.
Like the like every time something new is introduced, there needs to be something to I don't
Utilize
know if
it
say
in its best
organize
form.
it. Yeah, utilize it in its best. Yeah,
I agree with that then. Then I'll say that my definition is the same as yours. But I think that
but I
society's purpose should only be to fulfill the individual's purpose, regardless of what it is, unless the individual wants to like kill people.
Well,
Or
yeah, but
whatever
that's
they
the
make
thing.
out their existences.
Yeah.
That's a weird thing that kind of ties into morals after that, because
Yeah. Then there's
like
the whole
I
fucking moral problem.
yeah, it's just when you have two people born on the opposite sides of the world, they could have easily opposite standpoints on really everything,
Right.
and both of them think they're right. So, I mean, that's the question there, like who's right in their sense. But that's why I try to stay open-minded and as unbiased as possible, because I like to take into account everything that I learn and utilize it in my mind as best that I can and apply it to my that I see.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I think a major influence on that is?
What?
It would be religion
Oh yeah.
on
Definitely.
morals. Like,
Religion, but I think religion isn't as big as you're making it out to be. I think religion is just a facet of the grander structure, which is culture.
I think if religion was not religion as a whole, but
Mhm.
like, well, I guess religion as a whole, but not as you're saying.
Okay.
Like
I'll try and follow.
if religion was either proven or obsolete, things would change.
I think that religion
Yes
already is
and no. You're
obsolete.
still gonna have.
It's becoming
I mean, you're still
more and
gonna have
more
your
obsolete because
diehards.
people are really, really starting to realize that there's
The
lack of truth in a lot of it.
the
But I'm saying,
problem
like,
with religion is that it's unfalsifiable. There's never going to be the day that we say, "Hey, we just found it. Religion's fake."
well, okay,
See,
so
that's
scratch obsolete. What about proven? What if the Christian God came down in the middle of the sky for all human eyes to see and said, like, shut the fuck up, stop arguing, I'm here, voila,
I would cry tears of joy.
yeah.
Honestly,
I don't
think
think humanity
divinity
would
could ever
progress
touch
very
man.
far after that.
but I forgot what the argument it is, but it's like Pascal's wager, which is if there is a God, then if you believed in him, then you're going to go to heaven, and if you didn't, you go to hell. If there isn't a God, it doesn't matter. So the only thing to gain is from assuming there's a God. But
Yeah, yeah.
my gripe with that argument is that like what the fuck, God? Why didn't you show that you've been here?
Yeah.
Like if he's saying you should have known, you little fucking idiot. Now you're gonna go to hell.
You should have
Like
believed.
man,
See,
if I ever have to testify to him at the gates, I'm gonna be like, what the fuck are you? Just an idiot.
How you gonna talk to Adam but not me?
Yeah,
That's rigged, bro. You rigged the
yeah.
system.
And God, yeah,
It's like a casino.
God created me for the sole sake of setting me to be tortured in hell for eternity.
see, that's the crazy paradox that I see with religion, specifically Christianity. And
Hmm.
even Christianity by itself can't agree with itself, because you have the
No, dude, look at the
Protestants, the
Crusades.
Catholics, the Mormons. Well, I
Dude,
mean, you still have like different subcultures, like the
we had
Jews,
wars
the
over
Yeah,
disagreements.
Protestants. Yeah,
yeah.
Wars.
It's
but that's not the paradox that I wanted to talk about. The paradox is that the idea of faith, because faith by itself is just a loop. Like, you are always told to have faith no matter what, and just the definition of faith by itself is it cannot be proven, but it's reliant upon the person to continue having faith no matter what they're presented with.
See,
And
yeah,
that's
it's
what
just delaying the inevitable.
it's, it's not really even delaying the inevitable, but it's just a matter of your own personal beliefs and how far you want to take that. And in this specific case, like, it's just so terrifying to be presented with going to hell and burning for the rest of eternity,
yeah,
and then being presented with the idea of keeping the faith, which creates the paradox where if you don't, then you burn for the always a punishment.
Yeah.
There's never like any.
It's made to
like any
keep the
middle ground with
individual
it.
happy.
So,
It's not even made to keep them
another,
happy. I think type of indoctrination, and it just causes so many problems by itself.
Yeah.
yeah, and whenever someone has that kind of faith, that I'm scared shitless faith, they'll see
Yeah,
proof, in quotes, that their faith is true. They'll see acts of God, stuff like that, and regular occurrences that, other people will just say, that's crazy. And because of those acts, their faith will become stronger. Because their faith becomes stronger, they'll see God in more things. Suddenly, they're so entrenched in this positive feedback loop that all they know is that God's real, and they cannot be convinced otherwise.
that's just that's just psychosis after that.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
there's
Richard Dawkins wrote this book called The God Delusion. Just talks about it, that believing in it like that is a psychosis.
And the Bible itself was written by man. So I mean, like I was saying earlier, how the subcultures or the subreligions or whatever you want to call it, how they can't agree with each other, or the different churches, how they can't agree with each other, because the Jews, they read the Old Testament, which say Jesus was just an ordinary ass man, didn't have any special powers or anything like that, but he's still a sort of prophet, you would say. But in the New
Yeah,
Testament, it's just he just shows all these divine powers, and it's just unreal.
yeah,
But I mean, even after that, I mean, all the books, they were written by humans. There's no divinity in there except for the person that they characterized as divine.
right. And the only reason that the Bible is the Bible is because the Pope said so. There were other books that didn't make it in. Like there's the Book of
The Book of
Judas,
Enoch.
which haha, dude, the, whenever you look at the other books that were written, you see that Christianity could have become a totally different thing just based on someone wanted these to be part of the biblical canon, that it became so.
but then some guy above them was
Have
like,
you
yeah,
ever
yeah,
read
yeah,
the
yeah.
Vinci
No,
Code?
no, no.
I haven't read it.
The Vinci
Okay,
Code?
yes.
No, I have not.
Uh, Whenever I was reading it, I did a lot of background research, but the book itself is just like, the storyline occurring in the book is obviously fictional, but even in like the beginning notes, the author's notes, 99% of the background information is from what he researched, the truest form, or just the truest information that he could find during the time.
Okay. Okay.
And it really did reveal, like, throughout the book, a lot. And I like the books that were mentioned it throughout the story, just all the things that I mentioned throughout it. Like, I even looked up and did some background research, and like those were legitimate things that were in the book. And that's
Okay.
why I like the book so much.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting to me. I might read that.
I've
But
always heard that it was a very interesting book.
and that's why it's so controversial against the church, or among religious people there. They just, But there were some like really interesting points in there, like the
Hmm.
pentagram, how it's the symbol of the
Yeah.
devil. I don't remember which symbol of God it was from, but it's from it's mapped out in the sky even before the
So probably
religion itself
okay.
was even a religion.
Okay, so back in the pagan
Yeah, from a
times.
pagan god.
Okay.
But that's how the church demonized other religions by making it a benefactor of hell.
Yeah.
And it's the
Yeah.
same.
I
It's
never
it's
thought
just
of that.
demonizing other religions. Yeah, then there were other points that I made in the book, and it's just
It's just
it's
all
crazy to
The Protestants broke off from the Catholic Church.
I think now there's still more Protestants as well throughout the world.
Okay. I don't know. I was gonna say I don't know about this area
Yeah.
that we're in, but
No,
Yeah.
not rad. No,
dude. Maybe
I'm Southern
throughout
Baptist.
the world.
I go to church on Sundays and Wednesdays. Meet me, Margaret. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, because I mean, the Catholic Church as a whole. I mean, it changed the course. Like Noah said, it changed the course of history for
definitely.
thousands. Out of nowhere, these people broke off, and people were trying to make it out to that it's supposed to be different now. Like those thousands of years didn't just fucking happen, and
Yeah.
I don't know. People. I feel like that's just a sense of people refusing to admit they're wrong.
Right. Yeah, that's what so much is. It's just wanting to defend your own beliefs.
Yeah, that's where fate comes in. You do everything in your power just to do something in your own positive mindset. Oh, so yeah, it is half the percentage of Christian
Really apply
population.
to anything.
That's crazy.
I mean, they can really say anything, though. I mean, just from the fact that you want to be right, they can be political, religious, philosophical,
even personal.
But
yeah,
even personal. But just a really big thing that people miss out on when it comes to that sort of stuff that's been just neglected for so long is being compassionate about it.
Oh God, yeah, judgment is such a big deal with it.
And that's why it's so weird. And that's another crazy paradox that happens with Christians is that their God tells them to love and all these other things and to not to judge, but that's exactly what they do. Or what
Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude, the church judges the most out of any. You can walk into the church with a whack ass haircut and a tattoo on your hand, and you are the most hated person there. They've never seen you in your life.
You know, and it's like they don't even know who Jesus was. Because Jesus hung out with prostitutes. He was a carpenter. He wasn't some grand guy that was perfect and upstanding. He was kind to everyone. That was his thing. And Christians don't see that. They just see holiness, prayer, the things that are easy they don't have to put a conscious effort into.
Yep.
Which, I mean, I'm not gonna say that there aren't like good Christians out there that I have met and talked to before, but it's just it's the stereotyping there, and you can stereotype anybody. But I mean, just it. I don't know. I want to say it really depends. Like, no, you're good. But like, I don't know. I want to say it really depends, like which culture, religion, or whatever that you're talking about. But just in most cases, when it comes to this specific religion, that's when it gets the most stereotyped for that because of just like even throughout history, burning all the witches and everything. That's just judgment.
Right.
It's all rigged. This is why I wrote down conversion, because I thought this was pretty cool. Noah, you know my stepmom, right? Heather.
Yeah.
I converted her to atheism.
Oh my God. Dude.
I swear to God, dude, she was fully Christian. And you know what I brought up to her that made her start thinking about it?
What?
You know that thing that you told me one day about the little pocket of DMT that you have in your head?
Oh yeah, the pineal gland.
Yeah, and when you die, all of it gets released.
Mm-hmm.
And I told her, I was like, you know all those stories that you hear about people seeing the light and all that? And I was like, and I just told her, I didn't make it out like it could be true. I just straight up told her, I was like, well, it turns out that's probably what they're seeing. Nothing. And she was like, huh? I was like, yeah, they're probably just hallucinating right before they, poof out of existence. And then a week later, I go back over there,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like, "Yeah, I've listened to a few podcasts since then, and I've done a little bit of research, and I just kind of sat down in the bathtub a few times, and I think I'm atheist now."
Oh my god, that's fucking awesome. That's fucking
I was like, I
awesome.
don't know if I should be proud or if I should feel bad. And she
No,
was
you
like,
should be
"No,
proud, dude. You
I
just showed her the truth.
I know." And she was like, "No, don't feel bad. I never thought that this would happen, but who's to
That's
thought that it would
fucking
happen from a 17-year-old kid?"
awesome. That's fucking awesome.
It's like, So now every time I go over there, we just talk about it.
That's so
That's
cool,
our
dude.
main discussion. Yeah, now for the past like 2 weeks, she's just been listening to atheist podcasts.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's I didn't know I could have that power just from being a messenger boy, just from reiterating something that you've told me. Because I said the same thing whenever you told me that. I was like, "What? That's
Yeah,
no
yeah.
way," you know. And then I did my research, but of course I was atheist before then. But the fact that it,
Right, right. Well, we've passed the hour mark, guys, if you guys want to tie a ribbon on it.
yeah, what would you
I got
consider the moral of this?
What's that, Kill?
I got one more thing I want to say before we tie it off, though.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
The last time I took shrooms, it was at one of my friends' birthday parties, and I was fully convinced I was Jesus. But
I've had that thought process before. I think I can
Yeah,
totally
shit.
relate where you're coming
I
from.
walked on water.
I
You see that? You see
literally
that water?
constructed.
Poof, wine.
No,
That-
it was
that's
more
actually-
along the lines.
That's
Like
a very common
it was more
delusion
along
on
the line.
psychedelics.
Well, I don't know. In my thought process, I just orchestrated and constructed an entire religion in my mind. Like at that point, and just like it made
That's
sense to me how like you could just like into the world comes, new generation pops up. Like I could be the Jesus of that religion, kind of like how it's structured in my mind.
yeah.
Don't think about that too much. You're gonna start a fucking cult, dude.
I don't plan
If we
on it.
wanted
Seems like too
to,
much work.
the three of us could come together and create this whole cult system. Like one of us is the charismatic leader, one of us is doing the numbers, and the other one's like making strategies. We get the right people, and next thing you know, there's another Jonestown. We have
Hey,
that
boys,
power.
I heard plot for still. It's at Waco.
All right, guys, this has been a really good podcast.
Hell yeah, man. Thank
Hell
y'all to
yeah.
everyone who's listening.
Or is going to listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye.
Adios.